Hello, and welcome to our June edition of the Exchange Reseller Meeting. We have a few great presentations for you today. We have Baby Audio, Minimal Audio, and Sampleson. All three companies create creative products for production, fun products. They all carry at least one synth and a plethora of effects processors. And we're going to see from these three companies today, as well as get a couple sneak peeks on some brand new products that have just been announced. So you guys will be the first to actually see these products in action and from the brands themselves. So can't get any better than that. Also on the agenda are just a few items that I wanted to remind a few of you about in terms of, checking invitations and promotions, just things to keep in mind that will help your exchange business in this quarter and beyond. So with that, we could start with invitations. Now, this is a very important part of exchange. These are vendors that are knocking on your door. They want to do business with you, and it's important to respond to these invitations. So whether you're accepting or declining, at least respond to it somehow. When you log into Exchange, you should be greeted with the invitations, and it's very easy to click past it, because I know you have an order from a customer. When you log into Exchange, you're looking to just buy the product and get out. But the longer you leave these invitations to sit, the more cumbersome it gets when it's time to deal with it. So if you could just respond to the invitations, take a look at the websites, check out the companies, see if it's a good fit for your website. If so, just click accept and start getting the products imported into your website. If it's a vendor that you don't feel like it's a good fit, then just simply decline the invitation. But dealing with the invitations is a good part of the business. As I said, there's no reason to not accept the vendors. It's free money, and if they want to do business with you, I say accept them. Another thing is the promotions. So within Exchange, you have the ability to see current running promotions as well as future promotions that haven't started yet. So if there are any promotions in your current tab that perhaps run for another week or two, don't hesitate to get those uploaded on your website, to send out an e-newsletter about it, to let your customers be aware that these promotions are available on your website. When it comes to future promotions, I would try to schedule them in conjunction with however you send out your e-newsletters or whenever you do social media posts. So the current and future promotions are definitely something you want to check regularly, which actually brings me to my next point, which is about exclusives. So vendors will offer exclusive promotions to specific resellers. And if there are seasonal promotions or general promotions that you're a part of, there's no reason to not take part in the promo just because it's a general promotion and other resellers have it. If you do good on a general promotion, let's say you sell 10, 15 units on a promotion that everybody else has, including the vendor. If you do good on these sales and you're really championing a specific brand, you can then go to that vendor and ask them for an exclusive. Maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, 50% off, something like that, where it's just you that has that promo. And the way to do that is to really be active in terms of when you get general promotions or seasonal promotions, to not be afraid to reach out to the vendor to ask for assets if they have any types of banners for social media or something that you could put on your e-newsletter. Simply just going on your website and changing the price doesn't actually let the customer know that the product is on promo. They would have to delve into that brand page on your website in order to find it. So we need to spotlight these promotions a little better, and we can do that by putting the promo on our front page, or maybe the rotating carousel, e-newsletters, social media. So push the general promotions, which will then in turn increase your chances of getting an exclusive promotion for your company. If anybody needs help with that, we do have Michael Sforza, who does one-on-one reseller training. So, we could take a look at your portal, see how things are going. However, there is a item sales report within your portal that will give you some nitty-gritty details. So you could filter by brand, you could filter by product, and you could see how well you're doing with certain companies. And I 100% suggest that you maybe at least every quarter or every month take a look at how you're doing with each brand to gauge the sales, to see if maybe you deserve some exclusives from certain vendors that you can go and approach them and say, look, I've sold this much of this product. I'd like an exclusive from my web store. It'll allow you to make better decisions in exchange. Another thing to keep in mind is the upcoming releases tab. So any brand new releases, you'll be able to pull the assets from, pull the pricing. So you'll be able to know what the map price is, and you'll have access to images to get the product listed on your website. You won't be able to purchase codes until release date, but at least you'll be able to get those assets up on your website in the meantime. I also want to remind you guys that there is profile details in your settings that do need to be regularly updated. We've had issues where vendors are trying to reach maybe your accounting department or your purchaser, and the information within the profile is actually outdated. It's not uncommon to have a new purchaser enter the company. Things change, but if it has the old purchaser's contact information in Exchange and the vendor's trying to reach out, then they're not going to be able to get in touch with the right person. So do double check that the profile information and that the contact details for the Exchange administrative contact is up to date within your profile. Last but not least, before we move into these presentations, is the Exchange portal is still in beta, and we are looking for feedback in terms of the GUI. So right when you log into Exchange, just on the right-hand side, you'll be able to try out the portal and send us your feedback. Okay, and with that, I would like to call upon Casper from Baby Audio. I'm sure many of you sell Baby Audio, or if you don't, then this will be a great opportunity to get some details right from Casper himself. They create amazing products, and they do have a new release, which he should be touching on as well. So you guys are going to get a sneak peek before anybody else, right from Casper. So
cool. Well, thanks for taking the time. It's, as Rajiv said, it's very timely. We have a release coming out tomorrow, which I think will be our biggest release to date. We can't say if it will be in terms of sales. Hopefully we can all work together to make that happen. But certainly in terms of the effort that we've pulled into it, we've been making this plugin over the past 2.5 years. I think it's one of our most exciting releases. But I'll show you that in the end, because what I decided to do here was to just take you through a chronological journey of our brand, to show you everything we've done since 2019. And then I'll end with this new plugin that's coming out. So let me just share here. Let me know if you see my shared screen. Is it coming through?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So I'll first take you through just everything in case you don't know of our company. And what I've done is I've taken it year by year and kind of, I'll show you the plugins we released. And then I've assigned like a theme to each year. Obviously that's done in hindsight, but just to kind of show you the evolution of how we think as a brand and where we've come. And then at the very end, I'll show you our plugin, which is out tomorrow. So some quick stats to get it started off. We're based in Pasadena, California. We're a team of 12 people. We serve around 500,000 users worldwide. That includes our freebie users. And since forming the company in 2019, we've released 2 instrument plugins, 9 effects, and then we do a yearly freebie, which has been very popular and a good way to kind of attract people into our ecosystem. I'm showing this bragging wall here just to show that we've gotten a lot of love and appreciation from media and professional users as well. So we've been nominated for the Sound on Sound Awards for several years in a row with different plugins. Our Spaced Out plugin was Plugin of the Year in Computer Music Magazine, Future Music Magazine. So we've gotten a lot of support. We're very grateful for that, and we try to be better with every release, basically, so we can continue to get that. But yeah, let's go through the journey and then I'll show you the new plugin at the very end. So we started out in 2019 and I'm kind of assigning this theme of single purpose color tools as the conceptual overarching theme for when we started. I think my insight when I formed the company was that there's already a lot of good Swiss Army knife style tools out there. You have FabFilter, which is amazing. Obviously, you have DAW stock plugins, stuff like that, where you can do everything. But one of the things I missed as a user sometimes was something where you could just open a plugin and it has one sound. It does one sound and it does it really well. So I always was a synthesizer collector, and I loved when I was recording that I had one synth for a certain kind of sound and another synth for another kind of sound, or the same can be said with guitar pedals. And I felt that was missing a little bit in the plugin world, to have plugins that were more limited, but very honed in on a certain style. And that was the inside or the founding idea for the company. We started with this parallel compressor called iHeart New York, which was based on a DBX half rack unit, and which was this very punchy, aggressive compressor. Then we released Super VHS, which was more of like an 80s channel strip plugin that combined a bunch of lo-fi 80s style effects into almost like a also guitar pedal, a simple interface. Then in 2020, we released 3 plugins, and I'd say the theme was the same with the sonic color and creating tools that had a certain sound, but we started adding more knobs to them based on user feedback and I guess our own curiosity as well. So we released Comeback Kit, which was an analog model delay, which gave users a little more flexibility than our early plugins. Parallel Aggressor was another one of these, compression, saturation plugins to just really add like impact and aggression to drum tracks, for instance. Spaced Out came out at the end of the year and was a hybrid delay, reverb, modulation station, you could almost call it, with an interface that kind of inspires you to be creative and try things out. It has an intelligent or smart randomizer that comes up with a bunch of configurations for creating these like wet effects landscapes. Then in 2021, we released 2 plugins. And I'd say the theme was we kept raising the bar in terms of ambition, and we want to try and force ourselves or, inspire ourselves to keep doing that. But in 2021, I'd say the type of ambition was maybe less about creating color tools with DSP, traditional DSP, and more about, embracing some new tech ideas and seeing what we could do. So we released the Smooth Operator plugin, which is a smart signal balancer. It's very simple on the surface, but it's adaptive under the surface and basically analyzes the incoming audio and figures out where there's too much frequency information, and then it's able to eliminate resonances and mud and stuff like that automatically and adaptively under the hood. And you basically set this target curve and it will adapt your signal in real time to that. Then we released Tape, which is also kind of a tech story. It was based on machine learning and AI, and we modeled this 1960s tape machine to create a quite simple tape plugin, but that has a really warm and rich sound. 2022, obviously I'm assigning these themes here in hindsight, but I'm calling the theme for the year incremental progress, because we released 2 plugins that were both evolutions of something we had done in the past. And I want to stop for a second and say that that's an important thing for us, an important idea for us. We don't want to just release stuff and then move on to something new. We like very much this idea of having a smaller portfolio of plugins that we keep updating. And currently on the drawing board, we have updates for every single plugin. And that's kind of an idea for us, that we want to maintain, updated titles that we keep making better as we get better. In 2022, we released a version 2 of our first ever plugin, iHeart New York. It offered a better sound, a better user experience, and certainly more flexibility as well. Crystalline has been a very popular reverb with our audience and is an evolution of the reverb engine that was inside of Spaced Out, but kind of stripped out into its own thing. You can really shape your room or your hall with a lot of features here. And the sound was also improved, a little bit less of a metallic sound, and it's like a very smooth reverb. It allows you to set the decay time synced to your DAW's tempo. So for certain musical genres, that makes it very clean because it kind of works in sync with your music. And it's very clean and nice sounding, flexible reverb. 2023, we released something that was a personal dream of mine since the beginning, a synthesizer, BA1. And I think the initial reaction when BA1 came out was, why release a simple subtractive synth in 2023? Certainly the world would have moved on by now to something more exciting than that. But I think it's grown on our user base. To be honest, the concept here was more my personal love and appreciation for the Juno and these simple 80s synths that are just like one eternal sweet spot where you can just kind of move the sliders and the knobs around and they'll always sound good. And we just wanted to create like a little synth that had that kind of flexibility, analog modeled, where it's hard to really mess it up, where it's very easy to program. And this has become more of an evergreen plugin. It didn't do super well on the release, but it's one of those plugins that just keeps growing in audience, and the people that use it like it very much. We modeled stuff like the ability to drain the battery from the hardware that this was based on. The speaker was modeled. There's an FX strip. So it's just like this nostalgia 80s powerhouse. And we've released a bunch of preset expansions for it. It's definitely a user favorite. And then on the other side here, we have Transit, which was released in fall of last year and was a collaboration with Andrew Huang. It's a transition designer, so you have a bunch of effect parameters that can be assigned to one macro in a number of different ways. And then you can automate the macro to create like really complex effects transitions, let's say from a verse to a chorus or whatever, in a very simple way. It comes with a bunch of presets. It was a very popular plugin. Then 2024, and now I'll get to our new plugin in a second. Actually, you'll see it on screen. We've released one plugin, and then the next one I'll show you in a sec. I'd say we continue always to raise the bar in terms of our, let's call it like our technological ambition. So one of the things we did actually a couple of years ago was we teamed up with the University of Copenhagen, where we started working with some of their master program students and PhDs who were exploring different areas of, let's call it music tech, that were interesting. One of them was physical modeling, and the other one we'll get to. And we basically expanded our team to begin working with some of these university researchers. And that's certainly something we want to continue to do as our revenue grows and as we have more budget, to basically invest it back into the technology. So there's a lot of companies that do very well on your stores, I'm sure, that model old analog hardware, and that's exciting. And to a certain extent, we did that with BA1. But I think where it's really exciting for us is to create new stuff and to push what can be done with music tech, and to just find developers and researchers that are looking into interesting concepts, team up with them and give them a chance to get their best work out through our company. Atoms was a physical modeling synthesizer. It sounds quite unique, organic. And then let's jump to humanoids. I'll go out of the presentation. So this plugin is out tomorrow, and we're actually about to put it online today. And we're very excited about it. And hopefully we can work together to make it a big success. That would be wonderful. So the conceptual anchor here, let's call it that, was that what are people really looking for when they're producing? Obviously, everyone who's producing and engineering music want a unique sound. That's why they care to buy plugins and don't just use stock plugins. It's to get an edge and their own unique color. And what, element in the mix is the most important, I think, to most engineers and producers. That's the vocals. And what this plugin does is it lets you create unique vocal textures in a new way, where you can really go out on this robotic, machine-like path to create very unreal, alien, robotic vocals, and shape, whether it's a lead vocal, if you want to do something really extreme, or background or harmonies or ad-lib vocals, shaped like these very unique vocals that kind of, merge hard tuning with vocoding and wavetable synthesis. So the way humanoid works is it has a pitch section, which is kind of like an automatic tuner or a hard tuner, where you set a scale. There's also other ways to control the pitch, but I'll get to that. And then it will hard tune the incoming vocal to that scale, as we're used to from vocal tuners. But one of the things that traditional vocal tuners are focused on is to generate like a natural pitch correction. And actually, to get this very robotic tuning sound, people have to abuse them. Humanoid is made to be purposely robotic. So it's basically starting where some of these other tuners ends. We have this robotify feature, which basically takes the audio and forces it into certain harmonics to make it like really robotic, really intense in terms of how extremely it pitch corrects. So it's an extreme pitch corrector. It's not for, natural vocal sounds. That's this section here. And I'll get back to how you can use it in other ways than just hard tuning, but let's just stop with the hard tuning for a second. Then there's a synthesize section, which is basically a wavetable synth. So you can load wavetables, your own, or it ships with 64 wavetables. And you can then use this transform knob to morph the vocal sound with the wavetable synth, where you're basically re-synthesizing the vocal using the harmonics from the wavetable. And anywhere you set this transform knob will determine how much it's a vocal and how much it's a synth. So if you dial it all the way up, it's a synthesizer. You're basically playing a synth that you're controlling with your voice. If you have it anywhere in between, it's this hybrid sound where it's a vocal infused with a synthesizer, a little bit like a vocoder, but because it's a wavetable synth and it has a lot of flexibility for shaping and stretching the waveforms, it sounds more modern, I think, than a vocoder, and it's more versatile than a vocoder. So those are the two main features. Like, you're hard tuning the vocal in the first place to get this extreme perfect pitch correction, then you're morphing it into this wavetable synth. Then you have a filter, and the filter works in the frequency domain, so in the FFT process, which means it's not like a normal analog filter that's applied to the audio after the fact. It basically removes frequency content in the process, which means it's like extremely surgical. If you remove something, it's gone. It's not even, there's not a trace there. So you can make these very like specific placements in the mix of the vocal where it sounds very radical because of how intensely it's filtering. You have some effects to widen the sound with an ensemble effect. You can add like harmonic wobble. There's a freeze effect. There's some utility effects like a de-esser and a gate to just clean the signal on the way in. And that's basically the idea. It takes what automatic tuners or hard tuners have done and just comes at it from a different angle, where the purpose is not to make natural pitch correction that can be abused, but rather to make unnatural pitch correction in the first place, where the idea is to sound extreme, robotic, and for electronic genres, for hip hop, for a lot of genres, that's what people are looking for, a unique vocal sound. And this certainly makes it possible to do things that haven't been done before in terms of shaping that kind of unique vocal sound. The final thing I wanted to show you was, you can obviously, there's the hard tuning component to it, but you can also control it more like a vocoder, either with MIDI or with this thing we call note mode, where you basically just type in a note on this keyboard on the interface. Then you can use automation to change the pitch. And that allows you to create chords, harmonies from any vocal. And the way pitch shifts is very natural. So you can take a vocal that's sung quite high up and pitch it all the way down. It will still sound natural. So you can use it like a vocoder. You can use it like a tuning plugin. And it has a bunch of these calibration options. So even though it's pretty simple on the surface, you can go into each parameter and really just calibrate how it's sounding. And I'll leave you with this. This is Rob Kleiner. He's vocal producer for, Britney Spears, David Guetta, The Weeknd. And he basically says, and this is, his email that we were kindly allowed to print on our webpage here, that it's the new standard for voice manipulation. You guys hit a home run here, way ahead of its time. For someone like him who works every day in the studio with vocalists to create unique sounds, it's exciting to have tools where he can differentiate one singer from the other. Again, you might not use this as a lead vocal, but even if you use it as a harmony or for certain parts of a song, it just spices up a mix. So this is out tomorrow, and hopefully we can all work together to make it a big hit. We're certainly doing everything we can on our end. That's the end of the presentation. I appreciate you guys wanting to listen to me, and I'll hop off now. And I don't know how these things work. Do you have questions at the end, or?
Actually, what we could do is we could take some questions for you if anybody has any questions in the chat, just pop your question in the chat for Casper, and we'll get to those questions. But in the meantime, I just wanted to say, Casper, it's awesome to see the visual progression, like when you had everything laid out like that, like yearly, and we just see, how far you came from I Heart New York to Humanoid, and just every year you guys are just progressing and trying to outdo yourselves. So everyone, I just want to say thank you to Casper. I mean, I know you're in the middle of this big release, and you took the time to be here and present to these very nice resellers here. So hopefully, if you guys are not selling this product, that after seeing this presentation, that you can reach out to your music marketing rep. So Baby Audio is available on Exchange through the music marketing portal. If you're not already selling the product, then you're going to want to connect to the music marketing portal in your own currency. So there's a music marketing USD, music marketing Euro, GBP. So contact your music marketing rep in order to get access. Baby Audio is releasing products regularly, right? So there's always buzz going on. They're very active on social media, a lot of marketing, and there's a lot of fans. There's a lot of people that are just fanboys, fangirls of these products. So if you're already selling it, make sure you got the assets ready to go on your website today, because Humanoid is definitely going to be a big launch, and you guys don't want to miss out on this. So in the meantime, let me see if there's any questions in the chat. Well, Casper, if anybody does shoot us a question, I'll make sure to send it over. But yeah, we could take some questions after the presentation. But I think Casper might have to run. I know you're in the middle of this big release, man. So I know you're just swamped. But once again, thanks for your time, for being here, and for sharing this lovely presentation.
Thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for listening, and have a good day, everyone.
All right, so now we would like to hear from Lucia at Sampleson.
Hi, Rajiv, how are you?
Doing well, Lucia. Great to see you.
Great to see you too. Thank you for inviting us here to this meeting and giving us the chance to meet everybody.
Excellent. You got some products that I think everybody needs to see, especially those cinematic scoring products that I'm such a big fan of. I think everybody needs to see those. So
thank you very much. So, well, good morning to everybody. I'd like to start by thanking Rajiv for giving us the opportunity to present ourselves today. And it's a pleasure to put faces to the names behind the emails we've exchanged all this time. We are Sampleson. We are a music company, a music plugin company, and we've been in the market for 5 years now. We develop plugins that musicians love to use. Our plugins are known for their playability, firstly. Let me present you our portfolio. We can arrange our plugins in 4 big groups. First, we have our cinematic plugins, where you can find plugins like Sandstorm, a plugin that's created with sounds that can generate the classic wall of sounds by stacking up to 17 sound sources. Skywaves, a cinematic plugin based on analog synths. Alienize, a plugin that's perfect for those seeking spooky and CFI sounds. And Rambada, a plugin that features a unique cinematic percussion, and it simulates the behavior of 15 drum players altogether. These are our cinematic plugins that Rajiv mentioned at the beginning of our presentation. Then we have our portfolio of modeled electric pianos, where you can find our classics, Reed 200 at Reed 106, our spectral modeled Reed EPs, Suite 73, Glassy, and Model T. We have rare electric pianos like 1959, Clavi, and Electronylon. And Metapiano is our modeled grand piano that has a plugin size of only 60 megabytes, but has the sound of and quality of a 30 gigabyte sampled piano. To create these model electric pianos and our grand piano, we use our own engine that it's based on spectral modeling. Augusto can explain further this if you want if you'd like to know more about it. Please feel free to ask him later. On a third group of instruments, we have a portfolio of drums that includes Brushify, that it's a drum for finger drummers, and it's one of our most beloved plugins, and Haptic Perk, one of our latest releases, and it's a super fun plugin that uses microphone input to excite physical percussion models. Here we have a video of how it works. That was Haptic Perk. And last but not least, we have two beloved synths, acoustic things. This is our portfolio of plugins. And our price strategy is to offer a portfolio of high-quality instruments at an affordable price. Our prices range from 20 to 89, and we have sale prices from 10 to 59. As reseller benefits, we offer promotions every month as we rotate the plugins that are on sale, and we are currently running a summer sale in June that if you haven't already changed in, we are going to extend it in July with some news, so you can join us. Finally, we are a small team, so we believe in building one-to-one relationships with our resellers. We work hard in our communication to create tailored actions for each of you. And so we offer exclusives, personalized bundles, and special developments like Stage 54 that we developed for a plugin boutique with great success. If we are not connected yet, please feel free to write me back. My email is lu@sampleson.com. My name is Lucia, and I'd be happy to meet you. Thank you for your time. That was our presentation. I look forward to working closely with you.
Thank you so much, Lucia. That was a great presentation. Yeah, how about that haptic perk? I've never seen anybody play broccoli like that, right? You show up to the band practice with your carrot and your broccoli. So yes, definitely connect to Sampleson via Exchange to jump on board the summer sale. Once again, Lucia is willing to extend that. Another thing is, what was the name that the resellers need to search for on Exchange in order to find your company? It's not under Sampleson, is it?
No, we are, I think Exchange changes something, and
Okay.
we are on Sampleson, or our company name is Nextstart Technologies.
Nextstart Technologies. Okay, so if you're not finding them under Sampleson, just look up Nextstart, but that should be fixed now to just search your name. So, okay. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Lucia. Any questions for Sampleson? Actually, I'm seeing some questions here populate.
Fukashi is asking if he can have the presentation file. He can totally have it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just email Lucia, and I'm sure she'll be happy to send that over to you. Okay, if anybody has any more questions, just pop them in the chat and we'll get to them towards the end of the presentation. Thanks once again, Lucia. And it looks like we have Jacob from Minimal Audio. How's it going, Jacob?
Howdy. Good morning, everybody. Cool. So I don't have a fancy deck. I should have made one. I apologize for that, everybody. But you know what I do have is a brand new version of our website and a really nice layout of all of our products there that I would love to walk you through and tell you about our brand. So Minimal Audio is 3 years old. We just celebrated our 3rd anniversary. It's about 10 people, which is a mix of full-time and contractor. And since the start of the company, we've just been really focused on building, so my background is coming from other plugin companies and software companies. And when I worked at those companies, I was always super frustrated by the fact that we kind of started a project, finished a project, started a project, finished a project, started a project, finished a project. And so what I always kind of dreamed about was like, hey, can I build this ecosystem of interconnected products and, products that continue to build and scale and grow. And, another frustrating thing of working that other way was that kind of like every time you started a new product, there was kind of no incremental growth across the product portfolio. So this is kind of a random technical detail, but the point that I'm trying to make is the way Minimal Audio is constructed is just as a whole cohesive ecosystem of products that all interconnect and expand and grow on each other. So with that said, I'll share my screen here and I'll share our website. So if you come to our website, we've got basically everything about our company on the homepage here, and it breaks down to two or three primary product categories. So we have plugins or software. So in the last few years, we've released a pretty impressive portfolio of effects plugins and synthesis plugins, and also a very large expansion shop of expansion packs for those plugins. So I did write some stuff down for myself here. So just since we've launched, we've got about 160,000 users. We've had a big focus on this cloud connectivity and web infrastructure portion of the business that I'd love to show you. And just going through the portfolio, kind of where we launched as a brand was with this hybrid distortion plugin called Rift, which we talk about. This plugin became kind of a little bit of like a cult favorite amongst like dubstep and drum and bass electronic music producers. And the primary concept around this one was basically doing, we call it a multipolar distortion engine. So you can pick two distortion algorithms and you can apply a different distortion algorithm to the top polarity of the waveform and the bottom polarity of the waveform. And it's fun to present with Casper. I think Casper and me have a kind of a similar idea around product, which is let's build super futuristic stuff, just as I think a lot of newer brands are going for. So another thing we've done is kind of paired that with these new types of morphing filters we've made. So we've got a big bank of these kind of interesting transfer function filters that do a lot more than the typical LP, HP kind of stuff. And then we have like a physical modeling feedback system integrated into that also with multiband. And so when you pair all those things together, you can get these super powerful, expressive distortion patches that are like kind of much more complex than what you get from a typical static transfer function, especially paired with these kind of custom modulators we have built inside of our effects and instruments. So that kickstarted the brand. But my goal was always to build this insane synthesizer project, which is just completely over the top. But this is our company's baby, is Current. And this is a large, we call it like a synthesis platform because it combines a really powerful sound engine with both subtractive and spectral wavetables, granular synthesis. We've got an additive sub-engine over here. We have a built-in sampler, which has custom time stretching algorithms and phase vocoders built into it, as well as with all of our custom filters. It integrates all of our other products inside of it through this effect rack. And then it also has a cloud connected content system inside of it. So you can come in here and browse for presets and sounds from inside the synthesizer. That can be mirrored over on our website here, where you can kind of come and explore those same expansion packs. So all of this stuff is also discoverable inside of the synthesizer itself. And you can come in and audition sounds and do all that kind of stuff. Although I don't know if I selected share audio when I turn this on, sorry. Cool. So expansion packs, integration, all this stuff. So running back through it, we launched Rift. We knew we wanted to build Current. And then we have this whole other suite of effects plugins that have come out in between those two things. So in July of 2022, we released Morph EQ. So This one was quite interesting. And you'll see a kind of general theme throughout our company is we need all of these effects so we can build this really powerful ecosystem of products, right? But we don't want to just build basic versions of all the effects. So what we do is kind of build our own version and our own take on kind of the classic effects that you see around the industry, as well as we're building new stuff. I teach at CalArts in the music technology program, and we have like a strong relationship with universities. So we also do quite a bit of R&D and custom algorithm development too, working on, new, never heard stuff. But for this concept, it was, what if we could, draw our automation paths with EQs right inside of the user interface? So you can come in, take an EQ point, draw these expressive curves, and then turn a knob and watch the filters dance. And so this kind of, as mesmerizing and beautiful as it is, it's also super practical for people that want to do automation of corrective EQing, but also for people that use EQs in creative contexts where you want to do like a bunch of notching, or you want to do a bunch of, as a part of a complex signal chain. EQ as a creative step inside that flow is really where this plugin shines. And this one did pretty well in the market. So we had some nice reviews from all the publications and places. So after Morph EQ in February of 2023, we launched Cluster Delay. Similar kind of idea. So this is a tap delay. We call it a tap sequencer. So you get up to 8 taps, which you can then skew and space and scatter and do all this interesting stuff. And then we also have an integrated effect slot inside of here. So you can inject effects processing in between the taps, and you can select routing. So you can say like feedback processing, output processing, input processing. So there's like built-in diffusion, built-in tape wobble, and you can get these kind of really interesting. And also one of the big things that we've kind of been focusing on is built-in ducking, which has been really, really popular with our users. Actually, is just the ability to just duck stuff internally. Yeah. So this also has been a pretty popular one with our customers. After that, we launched Fuse Compressor. Now this one is like my personal joy to use. Fuse Compressor is like a 6-band multi-band upward and downward compression plugin. And it works on like a macro basis. So you basically have these 6 bands, and each of them you can control upwards and downward threshold. You have pretty precision controls, but across the bottom here, you have these macros. So you can affect and turn all of the bands at once and kind of treat it, after our preset designer makes the patch for the user, they can kind of come through and treat the whole preset as like a macro. So it's almost all one compression patch together. And this is really good for vocals, really good for, again, electronic music, where we're primarily focused as a company. And yeah, it's just been super powerful. I wouldn't say this has been the most popular product in our catalog, just because it's pretty intense and technical for kind of the general user. But for advanced users, this is definitely something that they come to our brand for, and something that they really appreciate that we've built. Cool. So then after that, we released Current. And inside of Current, like I mentioned, we have all of these other effects. And actually, these effects we like to build inside of Current. So they come in these slots inside of the plugin, and then we break them out for standalone. So there's also this really nice idea in our product catalog, which is like this reinforcement of using tools you're comfortable with. So getting really good with our reverb, getting really good with our EQ, getting really good with our delay unit, and you can use it inside the synth or outside the synth. And so as you're working, you're realizing where these effects work for you in context, and then we give you the tools to use them in those various contexts you might need to use it inside of. Another interesting thing is everything is preset interoperable, so you can open your presets for these plugins inside the synth, outside the synth, and yeah, generally there are just a lot of integration between these things. So then after releasing that, we released another plugin, Swarm Reverb, which is a creative dual stage reverb. So we have like a custom early reflection algorithm that we've built, which is really good for spatial and short, like, let's say, yeah, it's just a very nice early reflection algorithm paired with like a Daturo classic digital diffusion network decay side. And this plugin's fun because it has, we have built-in like sync with the pre-delay. So you can say like quarter note pre-delays, integrated ducking again. really intense modulation. So you can also use it more as like a sound design tool. And, these are the actual taps and the delay line that you see modulating. So with our plugins, we like to have fun, fancy interfaces, but also a big focus on actually visualizing real information. So these, the real taps of the feedback network that you see modulating. So that covers kind of the software portfolio. And then we have the expansion product portfolio, which I think we have almost 60 products that we've released in the past 3 years as a company. So we have a really strong focus on sound design. Before I was into music technology, I was a music producer myself as well. Almost everybody in the company is music producers. And so we're just kind of obsessed with making stuff. So we've made a bunch of sample packs. Here's a very popular one, Bloom. This is like an ambient production suite, we call it. So this is just tons of like ethereal. Just tons of usable ethereal simple patches that can be loaded across our instruments and our sounds and everything. So does anybody have any questions about the portfolio? I'd also just love to just dive in and do a quick demo of the software itself inside of Ableton. It takes 5-10 minutes if that's okay. There's a couple questions. So are the effects that are included with Current usable as individual effects or just integral to Current? So yeah, so all the effects included with Current can also be used as standalone effects. So they're all interoperable like that. There's one other company that does something similar to this. They're called Kilohertz, and they have this kind of thing of this notion of a thing called the snap-in. And as far as I know, us and them are like the only two companies doing this. But yeah, they're totally. You can purchase them separately. You get them bundled inside of Current. It's kind of like when you buy Current, you're kind of buying like a bundle of a bunch of software from the company that all comes together as one package. And it's been an interesting thing. I wouldn't say figuring out the business model has been the simplest thing compared to the traditional way of going about stuff, but it has been really fun. And there are certain users who have just totally embraced it and, want everything every way, and it's just kind of taken over their entire production thing. And our goal is to really build a whole production suite where you can just get our products and then be good to go with just our brand alone. I mean, obviously that's very aspirational, and even if you did, you'd want to use other stuff too because it's fun, but that is our goal. Cool. So quick demo. We'll flip over to Ableton. See if I have the sound set up correctly here. Can you guys hear this? Yes, yay, nay. Somebody thumbs up.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So I'll walk you through Current really quickly. So this is that synthesizer Current. And we'll just, right now, Current's tailored more towards advanced users. We're working to branch out to more beginner users. So adding stuff like basic views and simpler play operations. Right now, you land on this wavetable view. And the core of it is whoops, excuse me. These two wavetables, additive, spectral, yeah. So then we have the granular stuff, the sub and sampler. This is like a harmonic control additive bass engine. You can do like very fine tune. Very, very quickly build like very expressive 808s and sub bass layers for under your patches. So all that feeds into then the integrated effect rack. So all of those plugins you can then open inside of here. You can open multiple instances of them, rearrange them, all that kind of stuff. We actually have sub presets for the whole chain of effects here, as well as sub presets for all the different effects. You could randomize those and flip through them. So it's a very like explorative, creative process as you work, where there's just tons of options presented to you. Obviously, it can be a little overwhelming for some people, but we're always working to simplify that with our user interfaces. Across here, the modulation system. So, again, another idea of this like very flexible modular setup. So we have curves where you can come in and draw custom shapes and do step sequencing, envelope followers, LFOs, all those interesting things. And then that last bit I was talking about, which is that integrated stream. So that same thing we were looking at on our website, inside of the synth itself, we're releasing new stuff every month. They come and pop up inside of here automatically, no updates required. We have a whole web stack and a cloud connectivity backend, aspirations to eventually do AI with all the content we're collecting. Of course, everybody here knows that you need a lot of data to do that. So it's something that's in our roadmap long term. And then, yeah, you can come in here. Here's the density lead pack. Maybe I can find something I haven't downloaded. So here's one I haven't downloaded. So you can audition it straight from the cloud, click load, it downloads it, loads it up in the engine, and then you can just, you're off to the races. Cool. Yeah, so that's current. And then very quickly, our other plugin that's been the other kind of popular one is Rift. So this is that multipolar distortion plugin. Similar idea. So you have a positive polarity, or sorry, not a similar idea, but kind of a completely different idea. I don't know what I was talking about there. But the idea here is, yeah, the positive polarity distortion. So you can pick shapes here, pick another shape down here, and then you get the option to kind of mix it together. We have like stages controls, so various different things. And then over here, you can enter an advanced view and you get access to our modulators again and the filter and all that stuff. So then just tons of presets of this thing. So I don't know which channel I put this on, this one. So without Rift, we've got this little bass, little UKG bass line going. And then our plugins are very focused on like fast iterations. So you can just kind of randomize through options. Yeah, so there's an emphasis on distortion, but also a big emphasis on modulation and kind of changing the movements of the sounds as well on top of that. But yeah, that's, I think, as quick as I can get through it.
Awesome. No, Jacob, that was perfect. And yeah, the synth sounds awesome. When you were demoing those sub bass patches, man, I was doing like a stank face over here. Robbie was saying it was disgusting.
There's a lot more where that came from, for sure.
Awesome. All right, guys. So, we do have a question here. Rob, I believe this is for Minimal Audio. Will you be repeating your recent sale anytime soon?
Yeah. Okay. That's a good question. What's our plan with partnerships? So we're currently, with our backlog of content and products we've been able to hit and are continuing to hit a smaller plugin release every quarter. No problem. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming. We've been able to hit a smaller plugin release every quarter. So that's been really exciting for us. And now that we're starting to have a larger portfolio of products, kind of similar to what Lucia was saying, like we're trying to do this thing where we can rotate out sales that are happening over time. Okay, I'll look at that. I'm going to extract that question. Sorry. So we're trying to rotate those products out over every month, offer a different sale for resellers. We just did a big anniversary sale, which I think is what Rob is referring to, which we probably won't do another sale that large until around Black Friday this year. But on a partnership basis, we have no problem with running 50% off or larger sales through partners. So we will do sales like that more often through partnerships, just not through our own website directly. And we find that the customers seem to not, I'm sure everybody sees it, you release a sale, everybody's like, oh, I bought it a week ago and I'm so upset, like I need to get refunded. We don't see that happen with partnerships. So we're pretty happy to, if we have a good relationship with somebody, kind of let the partner also determine what works for their schedule and kind of propose stuff. And also we have a dedicated partnerships manager who's working in Exchange and worked with Rajiv to kind of set up those promotions. And I know that through Exchange, you guys kind of add them and then present them through the platform as well. So we're also doing that. But yeah, I hope that answers your question, Rob. So yes, anytime soon, we're happy to.
There is a question here for you, Jacob, as well as Lucia. It's about Don Gerard is asking if you feel like your products are too advanced for middle school or high school students, and how you guys plan to reach that market.
I can answer first, and then maybe Lucia if you want to go, or Lucia if you want to. However, I don't think it is actually. It's funny if you look at the electronic music production and also the younger users, like the complexity the younger users are down with is crazy. Yeah. Like there are 20-year-olds that are blowing my hair off when I see what they're able to accomplish in like FL Studio with like a Razer laptop they got from their school. Like they can make like insane music. So just the amount of resources and education around using production software is so good now with YouTube, and the young students are so good at learning it. It just feels like it's a totally new approach. So I don't think it's too advanced at all. And we are actively, maybe not high school, but we've been working on the university level to get our products into that place. But we also do have these things like basic views, and current is a bit advanced right now. We're adding basic views to that. So we do try to focus on having, a top of funnel where a less advanced, less experienced user can come in, and then also the product goes deeper and deeper as their experience level goes up. So for some products, yes. And for products that we don't have that yet, we're building that out for sure. And I would love to have that conversation, Don, with you.
As regarding for Sampleson has plugins that they are very intuitive and user-friendly. So we believe we can totally reach that market. We can also have that conversation.
Yeah. And Casper isn't here, but I can speak to that. His interfaces are always so nicely laid out. And, I guess it was a part of the company, motto to just make very fun, easy to use plugins, especially the older plugins. I think maybe there's a couple that have a little bit more advanced features, but for the most part, I think baby audio products, you can just dive right in. So. Okay. All right, guys. So that was a great meeting. I want to say thank you to the presenters once again, Jacob, Lucia. These are amazing companies. And obviously, as you can see, the people are very nice and they're very accommodating to the resellers. So don't hesitate to reach out to them via email, have a conversation, get the products uploaded on the website, come up with some sort of a plan, because you'll definitely be hearing some more about these companies, during the year as they release new products. And we want to get you guys on board with that. Okay. And with that, we'll see you guys at the next one. We usually hold these meetings the last Tuesday of every month. So we'll see you guys again in July with a few more presentations, and we'll keep feeding you this lovely content with brands that you need to be aware of, products you need to be aware of, companies to look out for, and brands that you should definitely be selling. Sampleson, Minimal Audio, and Baby Audio. If you're not selling these products, you're missing out for sure. So, all right, guys.